All right, what's up, guys? This is Demkeys, and this is going to be another random development vlog. I haven't done one of these in a couple of months. The last time I did it was, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, I think. 6 months ago? Maybe 6 months ago. I meant to do more, but I just wasn't able to get to it. Anyways, what I've been working on. Wait, did I mention the date? It is, no, I didn't mention. Okay, so it is currently the 2nd of October, 2021. That being said, what have I been working on? Recently, I have been studying the glTF file format. I'm not going to explain what it is. You can Google all the information yourself. Um, but like just a basic idea, it's a file format that can be used to transport 3D data from one application to another, kind of like how you would export an FBX file from Blender. Um, Similar to that, you can do the same thing using glTF, and I decided to study the file format. It's the file format is available on the I think it's on the Chronos website. But yeah, so this is what it looks like when you export a glTF file. The reason I have been trying to understand this file format is because I wanted to, well, first of all, I was interested in it. So that's why I was trying to study it and understand it. I also wanted to write a very simple glTF importer that would let me import glTF files into Unity. Um, at the very least, I wanted to. Oh, I just realized my phone's alarm is going off. I don't know how long that has been happening. I don't know if that's shown up in the recording or not. But yeah, okay. So, what was I saying? Um, yeah, I wanted to be able to write a very simple, a very basic, very bare bones glTF importer, just to get a better understanding of the file format. So of course, first I had to read up on the file format and understand what all of these various sections do. So if you haven't already noticed, glTF is mostly in JSON format. Um, by the way, this is one of the many things that actually makes me appreciate JSON. JSON is used for so many different things, at least like based on what I've seen. Um, for example, the Twitch API, a lot of the API endpoints, they return JSON, and then you can deserialize that and do whatever you want with the information. But yeah, so this is what a glTF JSON file would look like. Um, I studied the format. I've gotten a very basic understanding of what a lot of these sections do. It's super interesting. I would definitely recommend studying it, but understandably, not everyone is really interested in studying an entire file format. I was, so I did it. Um, what was it? Where was I going with this? Yeah. So now that I've studied a lot of the file format, I'm not completely done. I haven't studied like all of it, and my implementation of an importer is not gonna have. It's definitely not gonna be like a full implementation. It's just meant to be like a very bare bones thing for me to be able to understand the format better and probably even use it for something in the future. I don't know. But mainly this was for educational purposes for me to be able to learn. That being said, I because I'm going to be deserializing the data from JSON, I had to write a bunch of I had to create a bunch of classes. Um, So you have the root, which is this. Uh, Let me just show you. Yeah. So this is the JSON file. You have the root, and within the root you have a bunch of objects, and arrays. So I had to create a root, and then you know a bunch of objects and arrays that are going to hold the data. Of course, these all of these types had to be created as well. So you have asset, you have scene, node, material, mesh, and the various other objects that are required in or that are usually present in a glTF file. There are some that are missing here. There's actually a bunch of them that are missing. There's I haven't implemented texture. Um, I think there's one for skin. Animation, I haven't implemented any of that. I'm probably not going to implement it either. Maybe I might do something in the future. I don't know. For the time being, this is what I'm mostly interested in. I wanted to be able to set up a very bit. Excuse the Discord notification. Yeah. I wanted to be able to set up a very basic importer, something that'll just import the mesh and maybe optionally a texture as well. Um, I'll see about the texture part later. For now, I want just the basic mesh to be constructed. This file, by the way, that I just showed you, this is just one cube. So you can see in the nodes. In the nodes, the nodes array shows you the various game objects that are not game objects, but I mean you're exporting it from Blender, right? So the various objects that are there. If you're exporting only one object, then you're gonna have one object here. If you're exporting multiple objects, then you're gonna have multiple objects. Um, I actually have a couple of them. I've tried exporting. I've tried experimenting with exporting different. Where do I have it? My mouse scroll wheel is having some issues, so you'll notice like some weird scrolling behavior. Yeah, this okay. So this is another scene. I think in this one um I had a cube and a sphere. I'd moved the sphere a bit so you can see translation mentioned. When nothing is mentioned, then I'm assuming it takes like a default value. I still have to implement all of that. So, okay, the idea here, I've been rambling on for a bit. This wasn't supposed to go on for this long. So the idea here is I've created these classes so that when I deserialize the JSON data, it gets stored into these classes. And after it has been deserialized and put into all of these classes, then I can start working on that data and constructing something useful from it, which in this case is going to be either one or a bunch of game objects with meshes. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So far, what I've done is I've created the classes and I'm able to deserialize the data. I can show you. Uh, so these are two files that I have, Untitled and Untitled 1. They are in the Unity editor they're in the assets folder over here. Um, and I'm reading these two files, and then I'm choosing one of them in the code. I'm choosing one of them, and then what am I doing? So, okay, I'm reading it, I'm getting the JSON data, and then I'm deserializing it. Uh, yeah, I'm deserializing it and storing the data into an instance of glTF root. And then just so that I can be sure that the data has actually been deserialized properly. Silly as this may sound, I serialize it again into JSON and then print out that result. this might sound silly, but it's a way to test. And when I run this, wait, which file am I reading? 0. Okay, yeah. When I run this, it's supposed to print out the the serialized version of the root class. Let me just, so this is it. I'm going to copy it and paste it into a new file so you guys can see it. So this is what it looks like. It looks pretty identical to the, it looks pretty identical to the original glTF file, except it has more fields. Okay, so speaking of fields, glTF has this thing where, I mean, that's part of the implementation where sometimes certain fields will not be included for various reasons. Maybe the field is not being used, or if a certain field is not included, that means something. Like there's a specific way to go about doing things when a certain field is missing. Um, all of that is mentioned in the file format specification for glTF. Now, my challenge here is detecting when a field is missing, because from from my point of view, on my end, what I have to do is create all of the fields. I can't detect, or at least I don't know yet how to detect when a field is missing. So instead, what I've done is, um, for example, I set integers. Let me show you a good example. I think an attribute. Okay, so as an example, attribute is one of the classes that's going to be used, and you may not necessarily have all of these fields present. You will have position, um, you will have normal, you might have a texture coordinate one, you might have more. That's not always guaranteed. You might have a tangent field. So depending on whether the file actually has it or not, or depending on whether that specific glTF file, yeah, depending on whether that specific glTF file has it or not, um, well, where was I going with this? I lost my train of thought. Okay, so what I was trying to say is, if the glTF file doesn't have a specific field, the way I've implemented things here is I've set these numbers to -1. Generally, these numbers are never going to be in the negative unless we're talking about, like, 3D coordinates. Generally, these kinds of numbers are referring to some kind of index, and indices are usually 0 and above. They are generally not less than 0, so they usually never go into the negatives. At least in glTF, I haven't seen that happen. So that's one way that I'm dealing with this. I'm setting it to -1 by default. So what's going to happen is when the JSON data gets deserialized and converted into an object, then fields that exist in that data, their values are going to be set for these variables. So for example, if I am deserializing an attribute object, like from the JSON data, then let's say in that specific object, text chord 1 and text chord 2 and tangent have not been specified. Only position and normal and text chord 0 have been specified. What's going to happen is the after the data has been deserialized, all of these fields will contain values. but position, normal, and text chord 0 will have the value from the deserialized data, whereas tangent and text chord 1 and 2 will remain -1 because their value is never set because that field is missing, or those fields are missing. So then when I'm going through the import process, or when I'm writing the importer, I can check if a specific field is -1, then I'll know that that field has not been imported, or that field was not present in the JSON data. And so then if I need to change the implementation accordingly, then I can do that. Yeah, I think this video has gone on for long enough, so I'm going to stop it here. I will record another clip, maybe as part of this video or maybe as part of another video. I don't know. I'll see. Um, I'll record another clip when I have more to show. The next one is probably going to be once I've finished writing the importer. Again, it's going to be a very bare bones implementation. So like I'm not really expecting anything special. I at the very least I want to be able to import a mesh and create a game object in the scene with that mesh. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.